Hi, I'm Jack Higginbotham, and welcome to Virtual Experience 2020. In a typical Experience weekend, one of the highlights that we look forward to as employees of PRS Guitars are the clinics that get put on here. And so we're really happy that our artists have pulled together and created a virtual experience of clinics for us all. It's kind of doubly exciting for us because those of us that are usually running around and doing stuff during the show don't get to really partake and dive deep into those clinics, so we're really looking forward to these as well. Also, at 4 o'clock, tune in because Paul Smith has a very special video that he's going to share with us also. So I hope you have a great day, enjoy your time, and look forward to seeing all of you soon.
My name is Sophie Burrell and I'm a guitarist and musician from the south coast of England. First of all, I just want to say a huge thank you to PRS for having me on their YouTube channel. I've been a huge fan of their guitars since I was just a kid, so this is super awesome. Today I'm going to be going over one of my favourite legato licks and then breaking it down into a tutorial for you guys. I first stumbled across legato when I was learning one of Mark Tremonti's solos, and after that it quickly became one of my favourite techniques. I just love how fluent it sounds, and when you're playing it, it feels like you have no boundaries on the fretboard. You can just glide across the fretboard freely with no limitations. Anyway, let's get on into the lick. So this is a lick that I actually came up with for my guitar course, and this is how it sounds. So that's the lick, that's how it sounds, that's how it goes. We are using the scale of A minor and I'm in standard tuning. So now I'm going to go on and break the lick down for you guys to learn with me. So first up, we're starting on the high E string and we're going to do some hammer-ons. So we're going to go from number 5 to number 7 to number 8 on the fretboard using our index, third and pinky finger. Now you're simply going to reverse what you just did and then you're going to pull off those notes that you just hammered on. Okay, so now we're coming up onto the B string and we're kind of starting in a little bit of a different place. So now you're going to start with your pinky finger on the 8th fret, pulling off to the 5th fret. Okay, so after you've done that pull off, you're now going to hammer on from number 5 to number 7 and then from number 7 to number 8. So it should sound like this. Okay, again, now you're simply going to go in the reverse direction and you're going to pull off from 8 to 7 to 5. So far, this is what we have. Right, okay, now coming up onto the G string, we are going to start with a slide from number 8 to number 7, and then you're going to pull off from number 7 to number 5. Okay, after that, you're going to do a hammer-on from 5 to 7, and then pull off back to 5 again, so it should sound like this. Okay, now you're going to slide back 1 fret, so you're on number 4, and you're going to do a hammer-on into a pull-off from number 4 to number 5, and then back to number 4. So that whole phrase should sound like this. So now we're going to slide back from number 4 to number 2 on the G string still. And then you're going to hammer on from number 2 to number 4 to number 5. And now again, you're going to reverse the direction and pull off from 5 to 4 to 2 on the G. So that whole phrase should sound like this. So now coming up onto the D string, we've got a classic legato pattern here. You're going to pull off from frets number 5 to frets number 2. And then you're going to hammer on from 2 to 3 and then 3 to 5. And now you're going to reverse your direction and you're going to pull off from 5 to 3 to 2. Coming up onto the A string, we have exactly the same thing once again. Coming up onto the E string, you're going to play at fret number 5, followed by fret number 2 on the A string, So coming up onto the E string here, we're going to do a final lick where we're pulling off from frets number 5 to number 3. And then you're playing fret number 5 to finish on the root. So doing that all together slowly, this is what the lick sounds like. And now up to speed again. So a couple of little legato tips to finish off this video. One, make sure that your thumb is nice and low behind the neck so that you can really focus all of your attention and all of your strength into executing that legato lick. Two, make sure that your right hand is getting involved and muting all the way up so that you haven't got any string ring going on. And finally, just make sure that your fingers are nice and arched and that you're not barring too much, because that's how you can also get string ring. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed learning that lick with me, and I just want to say another huge thank you to PRS for having me on the channel. If you're interested in seeing more content from me, please check out my Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. And if you're interested in learning guitar with me, then check out my Patreon and join my guitar course. Thank you so much once again, stay safe, and I will see you later. Bye!
Everybody, so this is Simon McBride. I'm here to do a little video today for PRS Guitars. These wonderful people who make these guitars. So we were this year supposed to be doing the PRS Experience, but this is our virtual experience. So I'm giving a little class today from the confinements of my studio. So, the subject which I'm going to do is playing the right solo for the song. It's a hard one, but okay. So, but first things first, so what I'm going to talk about is my noisy chair. I need one of those fancy PRS stools. I've just got a cheap drum stool, it's fine. Anyway, so, because I know everybody's going to ask me this, is what gear am I using in this video? So, first of all, this is it's a PRS. It's a Paul's guitar. It's a funny story with this guitar. It's a prototype. Its neck is very fancy too. You can see, nice, you know. This guitar is very magical. It's very, very rare that you come across a guitar that's very magical. You know, most guitars from PRS are amazing. I say most, you know, all of them basically. I've played PRS for 25 years, and I don't think I've ever played a bad one. Right, so I did the Dallas Guitar Show about, I don't know, 3-4 years ago for PRS, and they sent me down this guitar to play, and Paul phoned me and said, this is a magical guitar, it's very special. And I think I said to him, then why are you sending it to me then? And then fast forward, here we are. Right, so that's the guitar. It all goes into my PRS HXDA head. I have a little Boss Super Overdrive pedal in the start of it. It's like a little Tube Screamer kind of vibe, but then that all runs into, you can't see it right now, but it's into my Boss Tube Amp Expander, which goes into 2 Notes software, which gives me all my speaker cabinet's impulse responses. So playing the right solo for the song, I have 3 steps really. Well, first of all, when you hear a song or you get given a song or you want to write a song, it doesn't matter whether you're the composer or just a session guy, you have to look at, first of all, the style of it. You know, if it's a country song, if it's a pop song, if it's a rock song, that determines what you're going to play to a certain extent. Like on a country song, I'm not going to break into a full speed metal sweeping arpeggio thing. Not that I can sweep arpeggios. I only thing I can sweep is the floor. But anyway, so I'm not going to do that. It's like when I go to a rock song, I'm not going to get a hollow body guitar out and stick on the jazziest tone I can find and play it. It's just wrong. So there's certain rules you got to think about. And then that leads me to my next step, which is gear. Okay, so if you know what song it is and what the style is, you then go, okay, what gear am I going to use for that? And most people say to me, gear? Would you not be thinking content first? But I always say, well, when you pick up a different guitar, whether it be like a humbucker type of thing or a single coil guitar, you play differently immediately. And the same with amps. If you plug into like a something like this PRS, which is kind of like, you know, an old overdriven kind of Marshall kind of vibe, or you plug into a very clean amp, or a Vox or something like that, it makes you play in a different way. It's very important that you choose the right gear. So the style kind of determines the gear. As I said, you're not going to turn up to a country session with the diesel head and go, it's not going to work. So then you get on to the big choice of, what scales do you use? What modes? What do you do? What I generally tend to do is, I look at the song, if I got the style, got the right amps, etc. I go, okay, what scales are primarily used in that style of music? Now we have the old faithful of pentatonic scale, which is great and we all use it. So, but there's other scales out there which enhance a certain style's qualities. Like if you're playing a pop song, you're most likely going to play something like in a natural minor scale, or AKA the Aeolian mode. So, which is a very melodic sounding thing, and it sounds very neutral, if you want to call it. You know, or you can play like more major pentatonic stuff or major scale stuff, which sounds quite neutral as well. So for that kind of poppy country rock thing, that's generally where I stay around. Everyone it goes, you know, you can use the modes, but be prepared to understand what the modes are and what they do. They all have specific sounds. Like, do you want a Phrygian, you know, over not really. So that's where you have to be choosy. So there's different steps you can do. Then you have 2 different ways of creating a solo. One way is more proven. The other way is, it's kind of a 50-50 chance whether you get it right or not. Let's start with the second way. So the second way is basically where you put on a song and you just go to the solo section and you just start improvising, playing whatever. And the mistakes too. All the mistakes get thrown in there, because sometimes the mistakes are which makes the song. You know, it might be an accident, you play at a certain note or a certain bend. You just got to look at everything in a positive way. So that's one way of doing it. You can just improvise and do take after take and then listen back and go, I like this part, this part, this part from that take or that take. And then try to compile it all together. I said it's 50-50. It could be 60-40, you know, 60-40, 60% you get it wrong, 40% you get it right. I have certain solos which I've done which I have nailed in the first take or 2 takes, just improvising. I wish that was the case for every solo that I did, but it is not true. Then there's the other way of where you compose a solo, okay? And I always think this is the best way, because if you think of a song, it's a composition. And so your solo part, it's your time to shine, it's your time to add something to the song which lifts it or takes it in a different direction or takes it somewhere else. So I always think it's my little composition within a composition, okay? Now, if you think about the improvised way, would you say to a singer, just sing whatever comes out of your mouth? You know, I'm sure most people are like me. The first thing I sing is usually gibberish, you know, or if you say to a drummer that, play whatever you want over it and see what happens. You know, again, it's 50-50 whether it's going to work or not. So I always think, okay, I would rather work something out. So I try to work everything out. Generally, the first goal is let me just try improvise it and see what I come out with. Because you never know, it could be genius or not. That's always my first step. Improvise it. If it doesn't work, okay, I'm going to compose the thing. So, next step you got to look at is what chords are you playing over? You know, because they determine what scales you can use. Like, for example, if you're playing like a minor chord, right? So many options. You got pentatonic, flat 5 thrown in there. Right? Then you have, say, like a natural minor scale. Then you have like a Phrygian mode. Then you have Dorian. Then what else you got? You got more exotic stuff like harmonic minor, you know. So there's a bunch of things you can throw in straight away over a minor chord. It's the same with like a major scale, you know, if you have a major chord, you can play the major pentatonic. Or just a standard major scale. Or you can go more exotic and go like, say, Lydian. You know, the list is endless, so it's about choosing what sort of theme you want for the solo. So I'm going to go through maybe 2 or 3 songs that I have done solos in. And this song is based around one chord, okay? So, and that can be a little bit tricky because there's nothing behind you giving that harmonic structure for you to follow. It's just really... So the solo was based around F sharp minor. It really goes... And actually, in this solo, I break my one golden rule, which is stay away from the 1 the whole time. But for some reason in this song, it just worked. So it's like... So it's a little trill. That's just a little rake, not sweeping. Then it goes to, it's kind of like Dorian, you know. Then it goes to, still in Dorian, and it goes to, it's the same lick, I've just repeated it, you know, and it's a big thing when you are composing a solos, you can repeat stuff a lot. Then a little fancy bit. You have to throw in the fancy bits. Then I go to the one at the end, which is what I normally do. I usually stay away from the one right until the end. And I to make it more interesting, I decided to play a little. So that's one example of a song where I didn't really do a lot in it. I don't really move outside these two, this position and this position. So, but the song required that. It required a sense of simplicity and nothing too outrageous, you know. Songs basically, this sounds funny, but they speak to you. They tell you what they tell you what they want. That's it. When you have a song and it's playing away, I don't know. I'm not getting too philosophical about it, but whatever. So creating the right solo is difficult. Well, one of my heroes was Gary Moore, and I remember Don Airy telling me, you know, Gary used to structure his solos like gears. You know, it's like first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, 5 gears, 6th gear. And when you listen to most of his stuff, it's like, yeah, I kind of get that. Okay, so I want to talk about the more kind of melodic solos, like ballad types of things. Now, a song I have, which is called Show Me How to Love, and again, it has a chord structure. The solo part slightly changes because in some songs you maybe want the solo to be like the bridge section. It takes you away somewhere. So most of the song is based around A minor, you know. Right? But the solo goes to like a D minor, then back to A, to C roughly, you know. And the solo goes, you know, probably better with delay. Let me find my delay. So. Now for the solo for this song, it's very melodic. There's not a lot in it content-wise. There's lots of bends, lots of vibrato, slides, all the kind of basic stuff you would use. And that is crucial when trying to write any sort of guitar solo, is to have all your basic techniques at hand, so to speak. So it's really, I kind of use mostly the A minor scale, or Aeolian mode if you want to call it, but in this case it'd be more than a minor scale. So it sounds quite sad, you know. So you got, you know. Then you got. Then it does a little run. So it's following that Gary Moore curve, if you want to call it, of the crescendo. And it goes to a little... The intensity just grows within the solo. And I don't mean just a lot of notes. There's a lot more notes when I play up here, but my vibrato gets more aggressive and, just the way I hit things, that is like that's like vibratoing over a tone. So it's quite aggressive. So there you have it. That is my tips, all scrambled up in a jumbled up way of how to play the right solo for the song. I still don't know how to play the right solo for the song. I just do what I do. If you want to know how to play the right solo for the song, I always say, ask Mr. Steve Lukather. That looked like an advert for his book. It's not. Just love the guys playing. Anyway, so cheers. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all soon.
Hey y'all, my name is AJ Ghent, and I want to first and foremost thank PRS for giving me the opportunity to share with you some of my tricks or the technique that I use and just some slide tips. I hope everybody's doing well. I think I sound a little bit rusty. I've been out of the show business, if you will, for a while. But can't wait to get back so I can see some of you beautiful people out there. Anyway, so yeah, if you are looking at this crazy, don't be fooled. Don't think that it's you. I am playing a regular electric guitar. Well, I won't even say a regular electric guitar. This is a PRS McCarty. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. And I am playing it in a unique way, a style that I developed some years ago. I'm using a slide, of course, glass slide. I love the tone and the feel of a glass slide, so it's just my, it helps me express myself a little bit better on the guitar. And yeah, so a few things. My tuning, right, is in the open E. Nothing fancy. And I use, pretty heavy strings. Although my string gauges change a lot. These are like a 14 at the top, and I believe that's a 56 or 58 at the bottom. So it gets pretty brutal at times with that heaviness. But I will tell you, these guitars can take it well. I tell you, they can take the beat down all of that good stuff, the experimentations or the experiments that you want to be able to go with when you get those creative juices flowing, right? So I'm yapping, right? Now, there are a few ways that you can play this thing, right? You can play it like a lap steel style. You know, you can go underhand with it. You can do that. I prefer to do it this way. I prefer to do it that way because it's a little more comfortable. Plus, I can sing and play kind of looking like this, you know. So, all right. So, let's do this here. To be able to get that vocal-like sound, you really have to, really practice with with that wrist. The trick with slide guitar is being able to express yourself with with my left hand, you can really. Man, the world is yours at that point if you can really master doing that. Yeah, so excuse some of that overdrive. Sometimes get a little crazy with it. But yeah, so, that's the key to playing slide, that wrist, being able to shake that thing, right? Of course, the picking hand it can work wonders as well. It took me a while to, grab a technique that I really enjoyed as far as my picking hand goes, and it allowed me to use 3-finger picks. The key is just to be able to make both hands have a conversation with each other, right? So if I say my left hand is speaking and then the right hand comes in and responds with and it can get fancy, they can start competing against each other. The left hand might do something like and then the right hand don't like that competition, so, he may come in and do rockabilly type thing. So, anyway, the ability, I think, to get a guitar to sing is first and foremost coming from the heart, the mind, the soul. Everybody's gonna sound different. It's all about the expression. It's all about being able to take the pain, the joy, whatever's going on in your life, being able to take that and express it with a slide. And that's what I've been doing. I don't see myself as a teacher of it because I'll talk all over the place about it. I got so many stories and just different things I can share with you with playing the guitar in this manner. So the main point is to, hey, be yourself with it, right? Be yourself. And like I said, there's many different ways. You can go underhand with it if you're more comfortable. That way you can go on top with it, or you can play it on your lap, It's so many different ways to express yourself. But that's pretty much it. I sometimes use pedals. Many times I don't. Right now, I'll use a slight overdriven pedal or overdrive, pedal or amp that can break up very, very early, so that way I can clean it up. I can clean it up, and then I can get really, really nasty with it, like. You can do all kind of crazy stuff. Excuse all the rough stuff, I'm definitely in my comfort zone. I'm relaxing right now, and I had me some coffee and all of that, so it's got me feeling good. But anyway, that's about it. Again, thank you, PRS, for allowing me to share my gift and to the world and be able to give some folks some tips out there and different things like that. Y'all follow me, AJ Gent. Support PRS. They're great, beautiful, beautiful people. They're wonderful folks, beautiful family. And so that's it. I'm going to sign off. And thank y'all again. All right, I'm going to play a little something before I leave. A little piece of Amazing Grace.
is going to be a clinic about finding and defining your musical voice, an online clinic, if you will. And the first thing that comes to mind for me for finding your voice is using things that you already know how to use and exploring deeper and deeper to really kind of put your own stamp on them. These are going to be things that people have probably heard before, which is just as much of an opportunity to really create the way you want to say it. So the first thing that comes to mind for me, I'm going to go ahead and say the pentatonic scale, right, that we all know and love. So we're going to go for A minor pentatonic here. That 5th fret box that we all know, your Eric Clapton box, if you will, your Jimmy Page box. All right, so everybody knows how to do that. Everybody's heard that before, and it's a staple in rock and roll music. It's a staple in a lot of other genres of music. What I find very advantageous about the pentatonic scale is that, without getting too scientific, if you will, the 4th and the 7th have been removed from a major pentatonic scale. The 2nd and the 6th degree have been removed from a minor pentatonic scale. This is why it kind of works over everything. So since we know how to use it, and we know what it works over in most musical scenarios, it's going to be the best thing to manipulate and to turn into something that we can call our own. And the one thing that I really enjoy doing is adding the 9. So the 7th fret on the E string, we have the 4th fret on the G string, we have the 7th fret on the high E string. Okay, so we're adding here, here, and here, on top of the regular A minor pentatonic scale. It's going to sound like this. So it sounds, it's a very friendly sound as far as, even though it's minor and sad sounding, it's something that we can work with. You know, and we can go further with this. Like for example, I'm going to look at the highest 2 strings right here and here. I'm adding that 9 in there. And the way that I play that 9 now, if I want to over-exaggerate that addition to the pentatonic scale, I can do a little half-step bend. Now that bend, we're talking about B here on the 7th fret. So we're bending up from B flat. That's going to show the listener that we intend to play this note. There it is again. So that is something that I found, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find it in every position now. And if I like the way that it sounds as a player, and I think it defines me, then I'm going to add it to every single pentatonic position, which there's 5 of them. And with that being said, that's a catalyst for other ideas. That is something that, when I found that I can add this certain note to the pentatonic scale and make it sound less ordinary or more ordinary, then I realized that the next step is to find it all over every pentatonic scale. And, you know, so if you're like a 9 guy like I am, I like the 9 a lot. You can create all these little musical ideas, and I think the most important thing for people to understand is that less is more when it comes to music. The culture of guitar tells us that more, even if we don't understand exactly what we're doing. And I think that it's not forward movement, and it's very confusing. And when you can kind of round things down to a small amount of info that you can easily manipulate, then you're pretty much cooking with grease, as they say. So, something like this. To me, how about this? There's that 9 again. There it is again. There it is again. So I know how to find that note. If I like the way that it sounds over a certain chord, A minor, which is going to sound like this, then I'm going to kind of take my whole week of rehearsing, practicing, woodshedding, and I'm going to aim it towards finding that everywhere, and I'm going to exploit it and make it my own. finding other notes to add to small amounts of information. Let's take a look at the C major triad, okay? I'm here on the 8th, not the 8th fret, the 9th fret on the G string. So we have 9 on the G string, and then we have 8 and 8 on the E string. 8 on the B string, barred, 8 on the E string. This is the upper end of a C major bar chord. And we're just taking a look. We're getting rid of all those notes, and we're just taking a look at these 3. The most important part about this triad is the root note, which is right here on the 8th fret. That's C. Now, let's say that I'm playing over a C major chord. I'm playing the C major triad. For every chord, there's a corresponding triad. If there's a A minor chord, there's an A minor triad. For every chord, there's a corresponding arpeggio. If there's a C major chord, there's a C major arpeggio. This is the same thing as speaking a language. First, you build words that make sentences, then you build sentences that make paragraphs, and then you build paragraphs that can write books or whatever you need, right? So with that being said, that's one of the main reasons why too much information is basically going to make things harder on you to find your voice. You want to find a smaller amount of information that you can exploit and put different places. The term or the saying, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, this is exactly what we're talking about. Same thing as you can't move a ton of bricks by yourself, but you can if you move them one at a time. You can't eat an elephant in one bite, but if you take many small bites, then I don't know why you want to eat an elephant, but they say that a lot. And the same thing applies to music. And guitar culture, if you will, tells us more. So if you're looking at an entire mode, I understand why it's going to be hard to figure out or find yourself or your voice inside of that mode. But if I play something like the C major triad, we can really manipulate this thing, and we can worry about making music more. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that triad and I'm going to add things to it. And it's a very, very old approach to guitar that guys like Charlie Christian and Django Reinhardt kind of created, kind of innovated. And what they did was, it's called decoration. They took these other notes and put them around or enclosed these 3 notes inside of them to make them just sound more interesting. So let's do this. Let's go a half step above each note and then play the note. So that's a half step above each note. It's a very augmented sound. All right. It's a little weird, you know, but let's try a half step below. Still hear this idea inside of it. And since we're talking about for every chord there's a corresponding arpeggio, triad, scale, you name it, well, anytime I see a C major, I know I can go. And I found an idea. I found a sound, you know. There's a half step above to the note. Here's a half step below. If you want to get crazy, we can go a half step below, then a half step above, and then the note that we're targeting. You know, you want to hear the whole arpeggio. So, this idea represents an approach, and once you find out that this is the approach, this is the protocol for finding your voice, then you can exploit it and you can find it all over the fretboard. And then at that point, it just winds up being all about your goals.